Hi, I'm Manda McKay. I'm a professional artist and I'm going to be giving you some tips to help you enhance your creativity. And this is for artists, aspiring artists, and people who just have a creative hobby that they like to work on. So today I'm going to be talking about waiting for inspiration. A lot of people talk about to create art, they have to wait for inspiration. I can summarize my feelings on that in one word: don't. Do not wait for inspiration because you might be waiting a long time. What I recommend is actually practicing generating ideas as something that you can get better and better at so that you don't have to wait for inspiration. Now, I recommend keeping a list. I've talked before about having an ideas notebook, and I'm going to tell you how to start generating these ideas. If you're really stuck and can't come up with a way to get started, you can always do a Pinboard online or something similar. Although if you do that, you're going to be just looking at what other people have already done. When I'm coming up with inspiration for my art, I am predominantly an oil painter. I don't use pinboards for that. I use pinboards for things that aren't quite as important, like recipes, stuff like that. So anyway, the thing that you want to do is you start writing down some ideas of things you'd be interested in creating, and usually once you start writing a few of them down, it will trigger some other ideas and you can keep going. And now a lot of these ideas might not be that great and you might not want to use them, but they can still lead to something else that would be really good. So I'm going to give you some examples of how I tend to work. And hopefully that will show you more about what I'm talking about and how you actually get started. So as I said, I'm an oil painter and I paint still lifes of assembled natural objects. And if you want to check out my work, you can go to mandamckay.com and see some of my paintings. Well, my paintings are, I'll put a couple of natural objects together that don't necessarily belong together, like a seashell and a feather. And I often paint a lot of dewdrops. So because of that, I take reference photos instead of painting from life. So anyway, this example I'm going to give you, I was going to visit my mother in South Carolina and I wanted to come away with some good reference photos. And so first I started thinking about what would I be able to find at her house that I can't find at my own house. We have a similar climate, Georgia and South Carolina, but she has a lot of different things in the sandy soil there that don't grow around here in this clay. So the first thing I did, since I knew, okay, I want to come up with something for something different that I couldn't get here while I'm on this trip to visit my mom. So the first thing I did was start just listing anything I could think of that I would only be able to find at her house. For example, she's near a swamp, she's near a longleaf pine, or she's in a longleaf pine forest. So I just started listing different things that I could think of that would be there on her property or nearby that I couldn't find here. And one thing that I thought of right away was cactus. They actually have a cactus that grows in South Carolina, and we don't seem to have it around here, a prickly pear cactus. And then that kind of got me excited, and I was like, oh, okay, this is what I want to pursue, because I know she has like several of these cacti growing on her property. So I had brainstormed basically different things that I could, that I could take reference photos of, and so cactus was the one that inspired me. So now I switch gears a little bit and I start thinking, what can I pair with the cactus? As I said, I do assembled natural objects. So I just started thinking of all the different things and doing little quick sketches in my ideas notebook of what could I use with the cactus. So I was coming up with, seashell, they're pretty small, but seashell, would there be a flower that was going to be blooming the time I was there? The cacti actually have their own yellow flowers, but I knew that those bloomed in the spring and this was in the fall, so I knew I couldn't count on that. So basically, I'm then just trying to come up with a list of different things that I can think of, whether they're exclusive to South Carolina or not, that I can use in these reference photos that I'm going to take. And so I came up with a few different things that seemed like they would be good fits, like some different seashells. And then another thing I did was actually go through my little collection of items that I already have and just look at those and take them out and try to visualize what are these going to look like when I put them on top of this cactus. And I came up with a shell, a couple of different shells that I thought would look good. And so that's what I worked with. And so I already had a plan in mind when I went to my mom's, and I wanted bright sunlight to take these pictures in, and it was already getting cloudy, and so I had to work really, really fast. But luckily I already had these ideas in mind and kind of knew what I was going, because I had already spent the time generating ideas and not waiting until I got there and then realizing like, oh, now the light's gone and I don't have time to come up with anything. And now there was some brainstorming happening on the spot. I was pleasantly surprised when I got there to see that the cacti actually had fruit. They make these, they're prickly pears, and so they make these sort of magenta colored little fruit. And so I wound up taking some pictures with the fruit on top of the cactus. And that's actually what I'm currently painting right now. And I just was really excited about this. I was trying to think of, what my next painting was going to be when I found out I was going to go visit my mom. And so I hadn't had any ideas that I was really excited about, and now I did. And then I went and took the pictures while I was there visiting, and then I came back and I started right on that painting. So hopefully that process makes a little sense to you. Again, you just think of anything that inspires you, and then you just start generating ideas from there. And this is easier the more you do it, and that's why I'm talking about practicing. If you're a poet, for example, you might just think about in general, what are just some general things you might want to write about. If you're really stuck, then you can read over things that have inspired you and see if that jogs anything. Obviously, you prefer to have a really original idea, but don't censor yourself at this point when you're just coming up with ideas. If you come up with something that's a little bit derivative at this point, that's okay. The more you practice this, though, the better you will get at it. And you can do it basically on command and just sit there and just come up with idea after idea, but you have to practice first. So again, don't wait for inspiration, bring it to you. So again, my name is Manda McKay, and if you found this video useful, hit like and subscribe, and thank you again. I'll see you next time.